Man, y'all need to stop this shit, bro. We a whole
Stop what?
state, you know what I'm talking about? We a whole state together. But y'all want to separate yourselves like y'all better than the rest.
The city of New Orleans is actually older than the state of Louisiana.
I know
Did you know
about the
that?
history. I know about the history.
Okay. New Orleans as a city was one of the biggest port cities in the country at one point. Everything as far as trade, import, and export ran through New Orleans. So you had in New Orleans a hub of culture that was independent from anything else happening in Louisiana. It's not a slight to other cities because it's one of the closest cultures to our culture in Africa as Black people. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that?
Man, I feel like y'all biased, bro. Y'all being
No,
biased,
I'm,
bro.
I'm, I'm, I'm speaking specifically to the points that I'm making right now. Do you agree with the points I'm
I
making?
agree. I agree.
Okay, when you have people who are from New
I New Orleans people.
Orleans and they say, I'm not from Louisiana, I'm from New Orleans, it's not said as a slight to, because again, I mean, none of us own these cities. In New Orleans specifically, there is an ownership of culture that these people have because these are the people who are maintaining this culture. This is a sense of pride, and it comes with being Black and being from a place that you can actually take ownership in. Does that clarify at all?
You know, man. And I'm from Louisiana. You hear me? I rip all this shit, the whole state. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. I go to New Orleans. I don't feel like, oh, I'm in New Orleans. Oh my God. And y'all want to be a
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we're gonna talk about New Orleans, man. We ain't gonna talk about we ain't talking just about New Orleans, but we talking about New Orleans up in this video. And I gotta address some things I've been seeing on social media lately. The way some of these New Orleans folks be talking. Not all of y'all. If it don't apply, let it fly. You know what I'm saying? But certain people that got, you know what I'm saying, certain things to say. And some of it is just flat out just false information. Like this Muppet dude, keep in mind that whoever runs that account with that Muppet character, that individual actually blocked me. He blocked me because, he couldn't handle the pressure, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I didn't disrespect him or anything. I just called him out on his pseudo information. It wasn't completely pseudo. Don't get me wrong. What he said was actually correct. Okay? But slightly incorrect at the same time. Now, this person, whoever this person is, D, she checked it correctly. She's right on point. She says New Orleans is older than the state of Louisiana, but it's not older than Louisiana as a whole, because Louisiana originally was not a state. Like the state of Louisiana as we know it today, that's not how Louisiana began. So when you come out here and you want to try to say New Orleans is separate from Louisiana because New Orleans is older than Louisiana, that's false information. Well, no, he says it's older than the state of Louisiana. Okay, that still doesn't prove anything because the state of Louisiana, that's not how Louisiana began. Louisiana actually is older than New Orleans. But that's because Louisiana originally was not a state. If we're talking about Louisiana as a whole, Louisiana is much older. About over 100, maybe 200 years older than New Orleans. I have to go back and check my information, but it's much, much older than New Orleans. Now, if we're talking about the state of Louisiana as we know it today, the boot-shaped state, then yes, New Orleans is older than the boot-shaped state of Louisiana as we know it today. And they're trying to use that to try to prove that they're not a part of Louisiana. That's silly. That's silly because you just left out a big piece of information, buddy. New Orleans was founded by Louisiana Creoles in Louisiana. It's just that Louisiana originally was more of a region inside of New France. It was a region inside the nation of New France. That's how Louisiana began. It didn't begin as the boot-shaped state. So trying to use that as an argument to prove that you're not really Louisiana, oh man, y'all are in for a rude awakening for this video. So what that brother said, whoever he is, the Muppet character who blocked me on Instagram, shout out to them. But they wanted to block me, right? Because they got upset because I'm calling out the real facts. He had the audacity to say New Orleans is older than Louisiana. False information. Well, no, let me take that back. What he said was not false information, but it was semi-false. He tried to paint the picture that New Orleans is not really truly a part of Louisiana because it's older than the state of Louisiana. Here's the problem with that. What he said was technically true, but he didn't tell you the whole full story. He didn't explain the full story in detail for detail. Louisiana did not start off as a state, silly. That's not how Louisiana began. Like, everybody should know this. Like, if you paid attention, if anybody paid attention, anybody from the United States of America, everybody should know this from middle school. No matter where you're from in the country. Like, everybody should have learned that in social studies class about the Louisiana Purchase. We learned about this in school. We learned about the original 13 colonies of Britain on the Northeast coast. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Virginia, right? The original United States of America, the 13 colonies, right? The British territories. We can see it on this map. You can see the 13 colonies right here. The British. The original United States was only on the Northeast coast. It was only the East Coast. This is how the United States began. Right? You can see the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. The Europeans from England sailed across the ocean, right? And they went directly forward and straight. And they landed directly in what is now known as New England, New York, etc., etc. The original 13 colonies. Louisiana, the original Louisiana was much, much larger than the United States. It was much larger, arguably more powerful. Right? Who did not know this? Like, I can't believe these people, certain people, not all of them. I cannot believe you actually literally got certain people from New Orleans making the claim that New Orleans is older than the state of Louisiana, and therefore we're not a part of Louisiana. We're something separate, something completely different. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm absolutely sorry, man. I'm sorry to break it to y'all, but that is just not true. It's really sad that I even got to show you guys this, because like I said, everybody should have learned about the Louisiana Purchase in middle school. I remember learning about this in middle school, how Louisiana was a territory inside New France, and it was a very, very large area that was controlled by France, and the United States purchased Louisiana, and eventually they divided it. The territory that was once known as Louisiana, they divided it, right? And there's a reason why Louisiana today is located in the area that is located, because the original Louisiana, when you look at it, you can see its large size. But back in those days, Louisiana was empty. All that space up here that you see up here in what is now known as Montana, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, like all that space was kind of just like empty. The Louisiana Creoles didn't really operate in those empty spaces, right? New Orleans, Natchitoches, Alexandria, Lafayette. Majority of Louisiana Creoles and Louisiana Creole culture was mostly in the region that we now call Louisiana, which is the boot-shaped state. That's where a majority of Louisiana culture was. That was pretty much where all of it was. It was located in this specific area within the region of Louisiana. So when the United States finally purchased Louisiana, they didn't just get rid of Louisiana altogether. They said, you know what, we're going to keep Louisiana alive, but we're going to turn it into its own separate state, and we're going to make it smaller. And the reason why we're going to make it smaller is because this is where all the Louisiana culture is. It's already in this one area. So let's, you know what I'm saying? It's really just common sense. It's really just basic math. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of what was known as Louisiana, they cut it off and they created individual states over time, right? We learned about this in middle school. You know, I know Louisiana has some of the worst education systems in the country right now. I understand that, but there's no excuses for this, okay? Because I'm from Louisiana. I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm far from dumb, okay? I don't care about the education system being not very good in the state. I don't care. Like, I'm educated. I'm smart. I'm not stupid. I'm not a dummy. So, you know, and I'm not calling these people dummies or anything. You're just misinformed. And you thought you were saying something. You thought you was cooking, but you wasn't really cooking the way you thought you was. It's okay.